Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. The food crisis in Nigeria is as a result of the crisis we have in the agricultural sector. This crisis has been a few years in the making. The main hold of agriculture is the seed. The seed is what gives rise to food. Unfortunately for Nigeria and many African countries, there has been a lot of pressure to take hold of the seed. We have the best way of growing seeds and passing seeds from one generation to other. Unfortunately for Nigeria, they adopted the new approach by the biotech companies to change our seed practices, the seed storage system, the use of seeds. They now introduce this homogeneous seed structure through seed councils to monitor the growing of seeds which are coming from the biotech companies and introducing these seeds into the agricultural sector. Now, by doing this, you are condemning the natural seeds and then bringing in the genetically modified seeds. Now, it is this drive to push in these genetically modified seeds that is creating the entire crisis in the agricultural sector. The terrorism, the killing of farmers is actually perpetuated by the fact that people want to eliminate those who grow the natural seeds and phase out all our natural seeds to replace them with the monopoly of genetically modified seeds. Now, why are they doing this? They want to capture the food security of Nigeria and countries across Africa. And this will give them enormous power to control polity, control health, control the people, and the Africans, Nigerians, will become objects of experimentation. So, what they are doing, if you take the insecurity in Nigeria, this started, if you look at it from 2009, they started introducing this agricultural reform. And up to now, what has happened? We have gone from almost food sufficiency, close to food sufficiency, to now we don't even have enough production of our own homegrown crops. So, what they are doing is that they are attacking the agricultural sector and killing the farmers. A grant was issued way back about 2013, 2014. They issued a grant to farmers. This grant was meant to set to provide natural seeds for farmers. And these natural seeds, we are coming from natural seed growers. Now, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation offered 2 billion US dollars. No, 2 billion naira for farmers that grow natural seeds, so that these natural seeds will be paid for through an electronic transfer. And that electronic transfer is called the electronic wallet. So as they sold that product, it's just a cell phone that you can receive credit when you make a purchase. Now, what had happened? They distributed 14 million cell phones to Nigerian farmers. These 14 million cell phones could track the position of every farmer in Nigeria to the nearest meter. So no matter where they are, and they are using the global positioning system and what is called the near field technology, which is the NFC technology. So they knew where the farmers were, and they knew among which farmers are the seed growers, because other farmers made purchases of seeds through the system. By knowing exactly where the natural farmers are, they targeted using mercenaries, which are popularly known either as bandits or Boko Haram or herdsmen, under that cover of religion, and they went after all these natural seed growers because without them there is no farming. Without obtaining the seeds, you don't have any farming. So they went after them and killed them in their homes and in their farms wherever they could find them. This is what precipitated the lack of the input, the natural input we have into agriculture to produce crops. Now, the rest of the farmers, they burnt their farms and drove them into IDP camps and came through the multiplicity of NGOs they have and distributed the seeds they called improved seeds. But these are GMO seeds. And then the problem with the GMO seed is that they are suicide seeds. So when you get that first distribution and you plant that corn, when you plant it and eat that first produce, if you take the seed of that first produce and try to replant it, it will not grow. Or when it grows, it's very, very tiny replication of it's not even up to what you anywhere close to what you had the first time. So you have to go back to the providers, those companies, the biotech companies that produce the initial seed, to ask them for the next seed. So what that means is that that's the time they tell you the price. You know, when this happened in India with cotton, when the Indian farmers went back and they couldn't purchase it, 250,000 of them died from suicide because they couldn't just afford it. In our own case, it's even worse because they are even killing all the farmers, so that even if you go back, it's not going to be just a matter of money, it's a matter of whether they actually want you even to survive. So this is what is precipitating the crisis. They finished killing most of the seed growers in the northeast. They moved to the north central. They are going towards the northwest. They are coming down to southwest, and eventually they will be everywhere, including the southeast. For example, if you take what they are talking about, the herdsmen, they started a program in Niger and Chad Republic, funded by these same international agencies. What they did was they called it cattle fattening program. So what they did was they breeded a sort of cow that can eat cassava. You know, many of the species don't eat cassava because of the high toxicity as the acid in the cassava strain. But these ones, they breeded them specially. And then gave it to their mercenaries to bring down to everywhere in the country. It is these mercenaries that they armed with AK-47. What does a normal Fulani herdsman need an AK-47? They are not Fulani. None of these people are even real northerners from the north of Nigeria. Most of them are imported mercenaries from outside. Now, to tell you that this has nothing to do with religion or anything to do with tribe, between 2015 and 2018, 37,500 people were said to be killed by Boko Haram. This is data given by the United States Council on Foreign Relations at the Senate testimonies. Now, with these 37,500, 85%, that is 32,000, were Muslims. 32,000 or 85% of the dead were Muslims. 5,500 or 15% were Christians. So how could an Islamic terrorism kill 85% of Muslims? Makes no sense, because it has nothing to do with Islam or Islamic terrorism of any kind. What is going on is the biotech companies are targeting farmers. They don't care whether you're Christian or Muslim. But the majority of the farmers were Muslims. So that's why majority died. If you take a state like Zamfara, 60% of the victims were Hausa. 40% of the victims are Fulani. So how will Fulani go to kill their own people? So this also does not make sense. It has nothing to do with tribe. It has nothing to do with religion. They wanted, because they know in Nigeria there are ethnic biases. If you are Igbo, you will not maybe talk well about Yoruba, or if you are Yoruba, you will not talk well about Igbo, and these are things exist everywhere else. So they are now exploiting it and using it to create ethnic bias and religious bias, while the real criminals, who are the biotech companies who are committing these atrocities, are hiding away. They are going and making testimonies of miraculous resumption of agricultural yield, which the U.S. Department of Agriculture has shown consistently that GMOs do not increase crop yield. Many scientists and academies across the world have shown that GMOs are toxic, they cause cancer, they cause infections, they cause liver disease, they cause renal failures. It has also been that the European Union, majority of the countries of the European Union banned specifically the GMOs. And even if you grow your crop in Nigeria and there is 1%, only 1% gene contamination with GMO, that means somebody else planted GMO in your vicinity, and you have your farm, and there is, because of cross-pollination, you have 1% contamination, you can't export that to the European Union or any of the major countries. So you produce the poison in Nigeria, you eat it in Nigeria. If it was so good, why are the Europeans banning it? In Italy, it got to the point that the prime minister and all the ministers went to fields and burnt it down. The same thing happened in Hungary. The same thing happened in Germany. The same thing happened in France. Why are they doing that? If it is so good, why is it not good for the Europeans to take? But they brought it here because we are programmed for their genocide. The genocide to take over our crop, take over our system, ruin us and destroy us. So there should be, and we are calling the Global Pro-Life Alliance, which I represent, along with many other people, we are calling for, on the religious leaders, the Muslim clerics, we are calling them to announce a fatwa, declare a fatwa against the GMO seed, so that the GMO seed will not be eaten but planted by anybody in the country. The same thing we are calling on the bishops to declare crusade against the GMO seeds, so they will not be eaten, planted by anybody. And we have already written to the National Assembly and the federal government of Nigeria, to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that they should announce a total ban on GMO seeds. Let them try and do that. If they do that, I give this entire terrorism by these biotech companies 3 months. 3 months, and they will run out of resources. Because their investors are working on the premise that they will capture our food security. And then they need almost 100 million eggs of women. How will they do that? Now, why do they need these eggs? Why do they need our food security? Now, if you listen very carefully, you will understand the science behind it. What is going on is that the Western forecast is that going forward, medicine will change to cloning, using cloned organs, cloned heart, cloned liver, cloned kidneys. How do they do this? If somebody comes to the hospital and he's sick, has a heart disease, a doctor will do a biopsy of that heart and take some cell from there and give it to these biotech companies, and they will find the egg of a woman. Take the egg of a healthy egg of a woman and implant that nucleus that has the genetic material of that heart into that egg, and then put it for cell culture, and it will grow into a heart. And that heart now will be implanted back into that person. And then he will have a brand new heart, no more the diseased heart. Yeah, it sounds good, but who is going to provide the egg? That's the question. Every country banned this use, including in Britain it was banned, and across Europe. But here, they now allowed it. And even they inserted it to be law in the National Health Act. They put it that a garment is not even a human tissue. So you can even sell it, market it. They put it in the law of National Health Act of 2014. So what it now means is that our Nigerian people are being provided as the laboratory rodents for their experimentation. They need 100 million eggs. That means that we need about 10 million women who will forcefully have their eggs taken. So how will they do that? What they are doing right now is to find a way to capture the food security. They will insert a gene called epicite gene. They can insert that epicite gene. That epicite is a company, it's a US company which invented the gene that can sterilize somebody. So you will not be able to have a child. Now they sold this company to Monsanto. Monsanto now inserted it in their gene, in their corn, in the gene of the corn. So to show conceptually that this works. Now they are coming now with these GMO corns to us and say they are drought tolerant and all that, which is not proven anywhere. So what now happens is that if you take this any corn that has this epicite gene and give it to school children while they are doing their school feeding, or give it in mass to people, what will happen is that many of the people there will come out sterilized. So if they are sterilized, what will happen? They will go to IVF clinic to try to have a child. And when they go there, the ovaries, the ovarian eggs will be taken. And these things are being sold to the biotech companies at very low cost. So they can now have 100 million eggs to perfect this cloning experimentation. And once they perfect it, who gets the money? The billionaires, the big countries, who are investing this and actually aiding and abating violence in Nigeria, so that they will make the country ungovernable. So how will we deal with this, given these enemies all across that have surrounded this country and causing all this violence? Very simply, we need to create awareness among our people. That's why we are calling on the religious leaders. They must come in. It is not just a government affair. Then we are calling on the Senate, the House, and all of them should pass a ban of this, on this GMO. Let us go and find the natural crops. We will manage to do that. Then the next step is, once we ban this, we will make sure that those people who are facilitators of this are brought down to the book of the law of Nigeria. So you cannot be backing GMO spread, backing violence in this country, and then causing treasonable offenses and go scot-free. Those organizations, the NGOs, the persons must be brought to the book of the law.
Thank you very much, bro.